Hello, Internet. It's Paul. It's Matt. The Dork Lords. We are here talking about Legion. Season 2, Episode 6, entitled, What the Hell? No, it's actually be the first one it's Chapter 14 we're on. So we're reading the book of the thing. All right. This was actually the first episode written, apparently, entirely by Noah Hawley.
Nope, no one needed to help him. Training wheels are off.
And it is unlike many of the other episodes.
Sure.
Would you say introduces the idea of alternate timelines? Or I guess we have the idea that it's possible earlier when Sid comes from the future and says, hey, you should switch your timeline around. But we haven't actually seen an alternate timeline, I don't think.
Yeah, do something that would cause my future not to occur,
right,
which is the definition of alternate timelines.
Boom. But then in the world we're watching, that hasn't occurred yet, that split.
Correct.
In this one, lots of splits.
They really, last episode, the Shadow King killed David's sister, and in this one, apparently, they wanted to show why that's so upsetting.
Right. It did, as much as it was a very sad moment and like, oh my God, disturbing last episode, there was a sense of we hadn't seen David's sister in a while. She wasn't even really a particularly pivotal character in the first season.
And I didn't miss her.
And, right, we had just had the conversation where you're like, I wonder where she is. And you're like, who cares? So, it, like, for instance, if it had been Sid, like, the love of his life, basically, that Shadow King destroys, that would have been, like, stop the presses. Holy crap. As it was, it almost did feel like, wait. This is why it was audience. So they show us these various lives that David led or leads. And a lot of them, not all of them, but most of them have Amy connected to them. And so it's kind of like how my life would have played out in these different ways. And I feel like this is all happening in his head, drink, in the seconds after he's notified by Lenny, or, after he reads her mind and finds out, oh my God, you are the remnants of my sister. Because we do see at the end of the episode, David is still trying to get out of the interrogation room, and he's collapsed, and Lenny's hugging him. So I feel like that's the only scene we really saw from the continuity that we're used to. So the whole episode, it starts with him as a homeless guy in a box. And there are these different timelines. So there's a homeless guy in a box thing, and we see him as a younger homeless guy in a box. My theory is, you can tell me, am I living in a box? I don't know for a fact, but my guess is, because obviously we see these different versions of David at different times in his life. So we see, like, 30-something David is homeless David, and then we see him, like, in his 70s or something. And I feel like the origin of that guy might be David working in the office space environment, because he starts sniffing glue. I don't know, like he starts, maybe the idea that maybe he goes into drugs, or maybe that guy is also the guy that's sitting in the diner with the fries. I don't know. I'm not sure if there's a, because we don't really see the.
No.
I sit in Boxland. Well, actually, Boxland is different. That's the mustache version of David. I sit in an office environment making mice sing for me. That guy, we see him in maybe his mid-20s, late 20s, and I don't know that if that guy translates to someone else as an older version of David that we see later. But.
Right. It'd be interesting if there's something in those sequences that will prove important later.
Yeah. True. And so, if you have some comments,
the whole thing is merely just an expression of the roads he's not taken.
Well, as he says in the diner, if these are all roads theoretically he is taking. Like, these are all, because he says he's talking about quantum physics and the idea that, or quantum mechanics, where look, every time you come to a choice, there's an alternate reality where that choice happens. So the
other choice happens.
Right. like tick 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 tick,
Right,
and then
right,
that
right.
choice leads to choices, and you create the tree branches of fries. So theoretically, all
Right,
these
but I mean,
realities
they
are
happen,
happening.
but it's not happening within his timeline, and therefore not applicable to what we're watching. Is all I'm saying.
Although you also do get that comment from Farouk where he's like, you create your reality. It's your will or something like that. He says something like that. So the idea that maybe he could just say, you know what, I don't like this reality where Amy's dead. I choose to live in the reality where she's living.
Right.
And could he do that? I almost feel
It'd
like he
be
could.
interesting if that's what his plan is. If Farouk's plan is, it's like, I'm going to make you not want to stay in this reality that the future Sid is trying to save.
That's interesting. Make it so unpalatable that he'll
Right.
want to switch it.
Right.
Huh.
So that's an idea.
Yeah.
A reason, because it did. I mean, I feel like that's not the reason that the show is doing it.
Okay.
I feel like, even though I don't understand why, if Farouk understands that David wants to help him, why he would piss David off.
Right.
Because it was like, oh, don't you know your girlfriend's going to be dead if you do this? And now here's something else he's done, presumably to induce, to tick David off so that it'll kill him.
So that he'll kill his body or destroy his body.
Right, which is,
which we do see in the trailer for the next episode, where they're sitting across from a table. Maybe it's in their
We don't see
minds.
them.
But that David says, I'm going to destroy you or something like that. Destroy your body. So he obviously has pissed him off.
Yes, he obviously has.
Appropriately. So the idea that creates something worse, I guess that's the goal. That
Presumably,
something worse is like,
I mean, we had theory, and maybe it wasn't that great, that somehow the confrontation between the future that they're having is David gone amok. So that's what the problems are. When she said,
we do see a lot of David gone amok scenes from these alternate universes,
right? For
sure.
Well, yeah. Well,
in fact, most of the futures don't end well.
No, they don't end well
for David.
But I mean, it seems like a Sid who's missing an arm, and whose voice isn't even recognizable. Unless that's the side of the, super organized, powerful David, then, it's,
right, you're not saying that one of those things we just saw is the timeline in which Sid loses her arm, is what you're saying. We haven't.
Correct.
I don't think there's always.
I feel like if whatever world.
I think it's a dystopian world where everything's gone to hell.
Right, where Sid is.
Right.
And not the one where David is in charge and living everybody's lives.
Right. We'll recount these a little bit. So there's one where David's a coffee boy, and then he proves to the company he works for, which I think it said it was Davidoff was the actual name of the building or the company. In his head, okay. He proves to
David off in his head.
That's off in his head.
That's the full name.
He proves to the CEO that he can read minds. And so it's like, oh, well, that's a useful trait for a corporation.
Yeah.
So he becomes rich and powerful, uses his gifts to make cash and gain power. And so we see him as an older man, or at least he looks older. Time has worn on him. And he's got what was his CEO is now his secretary, and he keeps her around because she resents him. And he's like, I like that. I was like,
probably like nice spicy thoughts.
Yeah, I like basically forcing her to work for me even though she doesn't want to. And he has a very supervillain type monologue.
Yes,
where he's like, God gave me gifts and I use these to unify people. I'm better than everyone.
Oz.
I'm the great and powerful Oz. And then a very disturbing conversation with his sister.
Yeah.
And so in that timeline, she seems really young compared to him in that one. That's why I thought maybe his powers have burned him out a little bit. I don't know, but the CEO looks older too. So I don't know. Anyway, somehow she looks younger, but she wants a new house. He's like, nope, and she complains about it, and he basically forces she starts bleeding out of her nose. So he's giving her some kind of mental trauma, and she's like, he's like, all right, You we good? So that's, you can see he's very coldly cruel in that version where he's got all the power he wants, and so part of me even thinks maybe that's a world where that's a timeline where the Shadow King maybe just was never thwarted in his mind and pretty much has control. I mean, maybe not. Maybe it's just David.
Right, that's what I'd be inclined to believe, actually. Even though
it sounded like a Shadow King
get of Shadow King before he tackles, and even after, I think to a certain extent, tackles David, is like, hey, I just like to hang out in nightclubs with women on either side of me drinking. That seems to be what he likes. And then now that he's inside of Oliver, he's by a pool.
You're right.
Feel like
it kind of reminds me a little bit of the Purple Man.
Yeah.
In that it's like, this is from Jessica Jones, where the Purple Man has this incredible power, very similar in a way. I can control people, and all he does is like use it to get free meals.
Right.
Or it's like, holy crap, you could be literally just controlling everything in the world.
Yeah, I feel like David Run Amok would be a lot more ambitious.
Okay.
So I mean, it's still possible that maybe it's like he made some sort of deal with inside his head. With the Shadow King, and so it's like, okay, yeah, you're going to be ruthless, right? Well, then I'll let you drive.
So do we think that timeline is the one that ends with him looking kind of like Professor X?
I don't know.
I feel like it might be, because so he's now, there's a version of him, whether it's connected to all-powerful version of him or not. There's a version of him that's old, bald, in a wheelchair, can't speak, and he's still being looked after by an elderly Amy who puts little drops in his mouth and moves his spoon to the correct side for him. He seems to be paralyzed almost, like he can't move his hands.
Yeah, it does seem like that.
So maybe he burned himself out. Maybe that whole aging thing I was thinking about, maybe he burned out somehow. I don't know. Anyway, I'm thinking that's connected to that timeline, but let me know in the comments if you think that's true or not.
I don't know. I mean,
it's very sad.
What does it matter?
Well, it's just this.
I don't mean to be too negative about the show, because I did. I think it's still interesting and everything. I want it to amount to something. So.
But you feel like this particular episode was spinning its wheels a bit, or
I don't think it's bad if they take time to devote to character, and I think that's what this is. So,
and I will say that
and so I just don't want to get too carried away with ooh, I mean, who knows? Maybe there'd be some aspect of this story that of the side stories, they might revisit again in later.
Well, the one conversation that is impactful and is definitely in this timeline and does inform a lot about his relationship with his sister is the one they have in the car when she's about to leave and the clock works.
Yes.
I mean, that conversation is pretty powerful.
Yeah.
And she leaves him, and she's like, you can see she's totally broken up about it.
Yeah.
But she doesn't know any other way. And she's like, it'll be a couple of weeks. She knows it's not going to be a couple of weeks.
No.
And so she's like, yeah, I promise. Oh, God, this is horrible. I'm sending my brother off to an institution. Goodbye. Yeah. And so that, maybe in some ways this whole thing was just to show us that scene, because that's the one in particular in this timeline that informs like how he didn't end up as these other people. In this one, she got him to agree to go and get into an institution. In the institution, he meets Sid. That enables him to defeat the Shadow King inside of him.
Right.
Frees him from that sickness as he thinks he has. But it also, in this weird branching way, results in the Shadow King trying to get revenge, and she dies. And so that particular scene is it definitely defines itself as a way that the branched into this timeline. If she doesn't have that conversation with him, he, probably tries to kill himself again or something.
Succeeds.
So there's another timeline where he agrees to take the medication.
Yes.
And stay on it.
Yes.
He's like, yep, I'll be medicated, and that's how we're going to work this out. So she looks after him. He has a job at a milk boxing factory
Yeah,
or something.
yeah.
He just
boxes, move
and
boxes,
he's completely out of it, pretty much all the time. She calls him. They have these conversations. He's like, so he's barely functional, but he's also not listening to voices. And she has to call him to take his pills. Take your pills, take your pills. And you realize, boy, he could easily not take a pill in these situations.
Well, it seemed like at one point he didn't take a pill.
Yeah. So he doesn't.
At least. Right.
There's a bit where it's late. He's trying to get home. She's late picking him up.
And it becomes a question, too, what, in the one where he's a maniacal?
Yes,
maniacal maniac.
He's a maniacal maniac. 10,000 maniacs.
When he's like that, is he taking his pills then? I mean,
I would say no.
So
he's homeless. He couldn't afford them, probably.
Yeah, so maybe, so different ways, I guess, that he succumbed to,
Yeah, I think that one he's off meds and he's still he's crazy. And this one he's on meds, he's sedated, then he misses a medication, starts seeing the Shadow King. We see the Shadow King for the first time in a while.
Right.
And I'll put a screenshot for that. Sure. Yes. And he, gets the attention of the cops. Sister shows up. The cops are rough with the sister. That makes him angry.
Yeah.
You wouldn't like me when I'm angry. Instead of hulking out, he pretty much, wipes out the one cop that he implodes.
Yeah. That was huge.
You're like, oh.
Yeah.
Okay then.
Yeah. I feel like that one wasn't as bad, but maybe he should have been speaking out. I guess that's what he gets.
That's what he gets. So eventually,
it's interesting how unracialized it is too. I mean, a white and a black cop are coming out to him, and he's white, and so is, his sister
Amy.
Yeah.
He gets shot and
then he
killed, but in the process of being killed, he still sees that Amy's in danger. He senses that she's in danger. She's lying on the street, so he just evaporates all the cops in their cars before he dies. And then we have a shot later of Amy going to his tombstone, visiting the cemetery. I think that's that timeline.
Okay.
Where he died, theoretically saving her, or he died,
wasn't saving her. Yeah.
So there's that one. That was cheery ending. Then he's got, old man him has this almost a shot-for-shot remake of Clockwork Orange. He says the same lines as the old man that's getting beat up in that movie. But instead of getting beaten up, he evaporates them.
Yes.
And all you see is their shadows on the ground. Like, oh, that's like a nuclear blast type thing. So he, uses the power of the sun or something. Like, yimp. We then see later, he's probably had a few psychotic breaks where he's killed some people over time, and people are like, oh, yeah, that guy's a real danger. We've got this guy with the power of a sun walking around, killing people without realizing it. So there's a hostile force sent in. Are they D3? I don't know, but it could be.
Yeah.
And he takes a lot of them out, and then they send in the drone. And there's a drone that flies in and does a bunch of loud sounds and basically distracts him from using his mental powers. And that gives Carrie with a K, the one person we see that's not him really, show up and bisect him laterally.
Yeah, I wonder how much that effect costs.
Yes, shoink. So my thought is that because Carrie with a K and Carrie with a C are so intertwined, I would guess that because Carrie with a C is the techno guy, he probably created the drone that can distract.
Unless David killed him.
I would just think. I think my guess is that they're in that timeline. He never joined up with the mutants, and so the mutants are trying to work to stop threats, and he's seen as, if not a supervillain, he's seen as a threat to the city.
Sure.
How do we deal with it? He's got mental powers. I'll make a drone. episodes, so they're not friends. That way, in that timeline.
Hey, drone maker.
So there was that one as well. Then there's one that's the oddest one in some ways, is also the one that you see the least of. It's the one where he's got the American dream. At one point, and I believe it's in the timeline that actually exists for the continuity we're used to.
Right.
Amy's she's gotten engaged. I think she's talking about a wedding ring or something. And he's like, oh, it's a nice ring. She says, I forgot the name. I thought she said Billy, but anyway, she said somebody. Oh, she's really good for you.
Sure.
You could get married. He's like, no. She's like, what? Why not? You can have normal things. You can have a wife and a house, and And he's like, no, I'm sick. So after that, we see these glimpses of a version of David who is living in suburbia.
Yes.
He's got a swimming pool. He's got his wife. He's got 2 kids. He's got a baby. Maybe a 3rd kid that's a baby on the way or whatever. Not on the way. Arrived. And he's just playing like with the kids in the bed, and then they're on the pool. And I was waiting for that scene to like turn horrible, but it didn't.
No.
It never resolved itself into, oh, and by the way, he accidentally killed them all because he went crazy. No, it just seemed like he had there's some version of his alternate universes where one of them is like, oh, pretty cool. But his sister wasn't in that one either, which is interesting.
Maybe they're estranged. Or just so busy with their own family life.
So people say, hey, I'm so happy.
I
don't need you. I don't need the crutch.
Yeah.
I don't need Sister Crutch.
That's right.
Right,
because he's adopted.
Right.
So he's not actually her sister.
Yeah, good point. So the one where he makes the mice dance. That was there were a couple of comedic beats. That would be one of them. "Slave to Love." I think it's a song. The little mouse is lip syncing to. So I'm guessing he was using his mental powers in that situation to make a mouse.
Another way he could be rich. Making mice do that.
Making mice do that.
Come on, come see the show, and I'll be rich.
Kind of like the Warner Brothers frog.
Yeah.
Hello, my baby. Hello, my honey. Look at this mouse. So I don't know. I think that's most of the experience, most of the beats that I wanted to chat about. In some ways it is like they put the plot on hold.
Yeah.
To kind of show us this thing. As a one-off, that's
why we're getting 11. It might not be till the end of the season where
there are 11 episodes in the season. We're halfway over now.
Why we realize, exactly why this was important, because I don't think it doesn't feel like it's that important.
We also,
and again, I don't have a problem with.
In the trailer, we do see.
It's just.
It looks like we see shots of Amy again in the next episode. So maybe more flashbacks. I'm kind of like, do we need more flashbacks at this point, or flash sidewayses? This kind of filled that quota.
Yeah.
We filled the quota of alternate.
Now, hopefully, they're not being too cute by we got to have another mystery in the center of the show, so people, that's what our show is.
Right, keep people off balance. We did not see many, other than Carrie with a K. We didn't really see the rest of the team.
No.
We did see Sid briefly. He's homeless. It's a middle-aged or 30-ish homeless guy. He's crossing the street. Sid goes by in a car, and they have a moment. They see each other, and that's it. The idea is like, in this timeline, we ain't together. Anyway. So that's that.
That's that.
It was engaging as a one-off. It did feel a little bit like it is a little hitch in the giddy up of the momentum of the show to take a whole episode. I could imagine if they did 15 minutes or something, like a little bit of an episode where we start with the ramifications of what just happened. Oh my God, my sister's dead. Oh my God. Oh, all the things.
What was the name of that? What was the name of that one? It's a story. And I've seen it told as someone about to be hanged, and then magically the rope.
Oh the something bridge.
Yeah.
The something. It's a bridge.
Tell us.
All right, sorry.
How stupid we are.
Tallahatchie Bridge? No, I don't know. Anyway,
someone will just Google it.
But yeah. It's in the Civil War, post-Civil War or something, and he escapes and everything's great.
Yeah.
And then you find out he never actually got out of the...
No, it's all in the
Spoilers.
moments of... I was waiting for the good Civil War story.
The one where the Confederados are killed off by the robots?
Yeah,
Is that the one?
that's the one.
Okay. So, yeah, I know what you mean. Right. He has this whole life that he would have led, but he didn't.
Yeah.
Yeah, let us know. Is it all in his head? Ferniak,
Hope you're all right.
I know Ferniak's going to be coming back with a, see, it's all in his head. You're right, Ferniak. Okay. So yeah, we'll be back next time. Talk some more Legion. We're also going to be talking Westworld.
Yes.
We're getting almost halfway into Westworld as well. So we're moving along in these series.
Yes.
Bum bum bum. Theorycraft away. We'll see you next time. Bye everybody.
Bye.